Hello everybody, welcome to the Redmen TV, and my match reaction after Liverpool were absolutely battered, dismantled, torn apart, played off the park, beaten up at times by Nottingham Forest 3-0 at Anfield. I honestly don't know really where to start with that. It was that bad. I haven't seen us play so poorly for a long time, and I almost don't want to say that because foolishly I felt like there was signs of life and hope in the first half, and obviously we're going 1-0 down. The goal is dreadful from a Liverpool perspective, in my opinion, and all too familiar as well from a Liverpool perspective. Give away a needless corner, Canate clears it behind. Don't think he had to, personally. I think he just made a bit of a cock up of his positioning, his feet, and ends up giving away a corner, which we didn't have to. And then the first contact falls at a Nottingham Forest player, and who takes a touch and fires home in the blink of an eye, and nobody gets anywhere near close enough to dealing with it and getting a block on it, which the opposite could be said for every single time we got within shooting distance of their goal. Murillo, Milenkovic, whoever, Elliot Anderson, was getting in the way, throwing the body on the line, defending for their lives. Yeah, we went 1-0 down, and none of that happened from our point of view. And let's be honest, whilst I do think we were okay for large parts for the first half, we were fortunate not to be 2-0 down at the break. And there's a question marks around offside and the eye line stuff, not too dissimilar to what happened the flip reverse. Randy Robertson a couple of weeks ago at Man City. Having watched it back a few times, I don't think it was quite in the way of Alisson enough, nor in the way of the path of the ball enough to be given. But that's not to say it shouldn't have been, because the precedent's been set. But then we absolutely got away with a second because there was no handball. I don't understand how they've come to the conclusion. It was disallowed on the pitch at the time. Canate makes an absolute mess of trying to deal with the situation. And it was given for handball, I think, because it wasn't a foul either. And I don't see him handball it. Like, I might be wrong. I've only watched it back 3 or 4 times. Quite a bad camera angle. I just don't see where the handball is. So we arguably are quite fortunate not to be 2-0 down at the break. But ultimately, we are okay in the first half. Okay. The sort of first half performance where you go in 1-0 down and you think, okay, just a few things to address. Arne Slot tweaks this here and there. The sort of thing he absolutely mastered last season. He made his name. He'd become renowned for tweaking things at half-time, just tinkering the way we play, maybe a personnel change, more likely a system change, and we come out second half, all the better for it, and we're the better team, and we win the game of football. The opposite. A mess. An absolute abysmal second half performance, I think. The 2 goals we conceded are fundamentally dreadful. Like, the sort of thing where, and I said during the stream to whoever, like, if my team conceded one of them goals 5-a-side on the Tuesday night, I'd be livid, because like people just not tracking runners, far too much space, like not switched on quick enough to a quick free kick that they take. The freedom of the 18-yard box, the freedom of the area to score and to take a touch, and to far too easy. Like, we got Nottingham Forest, 19th place going into the game, Nottingham Forest, playing one touch footy around us. We're not getting tight enough to our men. We're not blocking the ball. We're not putting tackles in. We're not tracking runners. We're not lifting a leg to do anything defensively. They're defending at the other end like their lives literally depend on winning that game of football or keeping a clean sheet or whatever. And we are the polar opposite. Like, honestly, it's hard to know where we turn from here. I was tempted to say it's as bad as it gets, but I'm not sure it is, because I don't see the signs of anything changing necessarily. There was nothing in that second half. When it went 2-0, all right, you're 2-0 down, but surely now you're at Anfield, you've got nigh on 60,000 behind you, desperate, roaring you on to do something, to show some. At no point did we muster anything like a consistent level of pressure or a consistent level of chance. We were never banging on the door. We were never absolutely, piling on the pressure. We never ever looked likely like getting back into that game of footy. And there was no like glorious failure. There was no, pride in defeat. There was nothing. There was no pride in the performance. It was toxic. Like, honestly, I don't know. Laughably bad, unacceptable. Arne Slot's under huge pressure. Huge pressure. I've been so unsure and reticent to sort of raise that conversation because nobody wants to have it ultimately. Won the Premier League 6 months ago, so it might even be too soon now. Might be foolish to even suggest it. But on the evidence of that and the amount of times now we've had opportunities to turn things around and to look better and to address some of the problems that we've got, and we've failed to do so, and we've just reverted back to that level of performance, and that is probably the worst one of the season, let's be honest. Getting beat 3-0 at home, you can get beat 3-0 by Man City, you don't want to, and you'd like to perform better and you'd like to get a result, but it can happen because of a good side, especially away from home. But to do that against Nottingham Forest at home, that's pretty damning, and that's not a good look. And those people who are maybe having conversations about the manager in their own circles or even in their own heads are probably more likely to be having them more openly now, I would suggest, because it might well be time for that. Whether Liverpool do on a grander scale, whether FSG think it's the right time to choose Michael Edwards, whoever, maybe not, who knows. But my word, we're 11th off the back of that. 11th. And I don't really know what else fixes it. There's a couple of players out injured, of course there are. Not enough to justify that performance. A couple of managerial decisions that he's made. He's gone to Bosley right back. So Bosley's been our player of the season so far. And he's chosen to play him out of position, in a position that's not natural to him. And he thought he did well, for what it's worth, over there. Probably one of our players of the match, if that is such a thing, in the performance, that lacklustre. But it just feels like the decisions that he's making just aren't coming off. He had the Midas tusk last year, didn't he? It's come back to the half-time point earlier. Every single thing he did, even the start of this season, felt like the subs he introduced had an instant impact and often won games for us. None of that's happening right now. The opposite's happening right now for him. And yeah, he's under massive pressure. Because with great expenditure comes great expectation. With winning the Premier League comes even more expectation. And right now we are falling behind, not just the title race, the race for the top four, the race for Europe right now. We are trailing in, and it could get even worse before the weekend's over. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think the level of mitigating circumstances in terms of the absentees, in terms of, players needing time to gel and get more cohesive and all that sort of stuff, all the rationale and the reasons we were given earlier on the season for things not working and not quite looking as sharp and as, as smooth and as well-oiled as we might have liked. I think the time for all that's gone now. And I think fundamentally we just need more. And whilst individually there's lots of problems, if collectively they've stopped playing for the manager, which I'm not suggesting they have, but maybe, that's what else is there to do? I'm not advocating for Slot going, by the way, I'm really not, but I can understand why that will become a topic of conversation, because again, getting beat 3-0 at home by Nottingham Forest, as well as all the other problems we've had in recent weeks. I know we beat Real Madrid, but that was the exception rather than the rule, wasn't it? And we currently sit 11th in the Premier League. And we've got a real issue against certain teams, against certain blueprinted teams, and there is a way, now a well-trodden way of hurting us, and we don't seem to have a way of fixing it. Set pieces, physical, direct play, defensively solid against us, low block, we don't have an answer. And there's lots more of that to come in the coming weeks. Anyway, I want to wrap this up because this is just bleak at this point. Right, sounds... I'm going to do some more stuff now around that game of football, which I just can't wait for, obviously. Thanks for watching. Till next time. See you soon.